Writers, let's move on to step 2 of our criteria for success. If we remember, step 2 was adding at least 2 examples to back up our reason. The reason I wrote last time in our last video was that fish are quiet. That was my reason why fish would be the perfect pet. Now I need at least 2 examples or evidence to back up how fish are quiet. Now I have 3 questions here that can help me think of what examples I want to add to my writing. The 3 questions we can answer is what does it look like? Why is it that important? And what is an example from your own life? Let me read those 3 questions one more time. What does it look like? Why is that important? And what is an example from your own life? Now, let me model it for you, and I'm going to model all 3 questions for my reason. Remember, but you only need at least 2. How many do you need, friends? You only need at least 2. Now, what does it look like? What does it look like when fish are quiet? What does it look like when fish are quiet? Let me just think about it. A fish just swim around in his bowl all day and you can't hear him. That's what it looks like. Fish just swimming in its bowl and you can't hear him. Well, that's an example. That's an example of a fish being quiet. So in my writing, I could write a fish just swims around in his bowl all day and you can't hear him. That is one example. Let's move on to question 2. Why is that important? Why is it important that fish are quiet? I'm bringing it back to my reason. Why is that important that a fish is quiet? Well, it's important that a fish is quiet because they will not interrupt you when you're working. So, an example I could put is if you're trying to get your work done, the fish won't interrupt you. If you're trying to get your work done, the fish won't interrupt you. That is another example that I can put in my writing. Now, what is an example from your own life? What is an example of a fish being quiet in your own life? Well, I have a friend, Sarah, and she had a friend, and she said it was the hardest part of taking care of a pet fish was remembering he was there because he was so quiet. So I could write in my example, my best friend Sarah had a fish, and she said the hardest part of taking care of him was remembering he was there because he was so quiet. Those are 3 examples that I could add to my writing that proves that backs up my reason, that gives evidence that fish are quiet and would make the perfect pet. Friends, but where would I put this in my writing? Where should I put my examples? Well, if you see, I wrote my introduction. I had my first reason. The first reason I think fish would make a good pet is because they are quiet. And now I wrote my 2 examples right under my first reason. I said a fish just swims around in his bowl all day and you can't hear him. Also, when you are trying to get your work done, the fish won't interrupt you. Those are my 2 examples that backed up my reason. Now, friends, before we submit our exit ticket, we need to do something. We need to check, do I have all my steps for my criteria for success? Do I have all my steps for my criteria for success? Friends, my criteria for success wrote the reason why my animal is the perfect pet using a sentence stem. I did use my sentence stem. The first reason I think fish would make a good pet is because they are quiet. That was step 1 of my criteria for success. Did I get step 2? Step 2 is write 2 different examples or evidence that support my reason. Let's see. A fish just swims around in his bowl all day and you can't hear him. That's one example. Also, when you are trying to get work done, the fish won't interrupt you. That's another example, and they are different. Friends, did you see that? I completed my criteria for success. I got them both correct. This is what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you have completed the criteria for success to write your very first body paragraph. Once you've done that, I want you to take a picture of your writing and submit it for your exit ticket. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Mr. Martinez. I will see your work soon, friends. I'm so excited.